Hi knitters, welcome to episode 173 of the Knitty McPurly podcast. I'm your host, Devin Ventry. If you want to email me, I'm Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. You can find me on the internet at KnittyMcPurly.com, and I am Knitty McPurly over on Instagram. And I have actually been posting stuff on Instagram this week, maybe because it was spring break and my kids were off and I actually had time to do that. It was great. I hope to keep it up because I love seeing you guys at Instagram. I love going over there and seeing all the stuff that you guys knit. It is amazing. Anyway, it is freezing today. So you might notice that I am wearing this wonderful sweater. I wore it yesterday with nothing under it, just like a t-shirt, and I was freezing. So for today, I have decided to layer it. I am drinking out of my Maryland mug from Melissa. Hi, Melissa. I got a funny story about Melissa. Okay, I saw her at the winery meetup 2 weeks ago, and she said that back when I used to film my podcast in this corner where this was all you could see, one time her husband walked past and goes, "Is she in the bathroom?" Gigi and I laughed so hard about that. Like, can you imagine how echoey it would be if I was in the bathroom, just sitting on the pot, just like, hey guys, this is what we're doing. Oh man, it was so funny. Anyway, it was wonderful to meet Melissa. She was absolutely delightful, gave me a hilarious story and this wonderful Maryland mug. This is the Maryland flag, which is awesome. She also sent me the history of the Maryland flag, which I haven't had a chance to look at yet, but I am very interested. So cold today, my kids were off all week. I dyed yarn like a crazy fiend. And tomorrow it is back to school. I'm a little bummed. I don't live one of those lives where you're like, yay, my kids are back to school. Now I have all this free time. My life is the absolute opposite of that. I homeschool half of them and the other half I have to drive. So back to school is actually a lot of work for me, but it's fine. There's really only like 6 more weeks of school. And next year it's gonna get a lot easier because I'm offloading some people. My oldest is going to college and my oldest homeschooler will be going to school next year. So good stuff, good stuff. Okay, let's get right into progress and shop news. So maybe most notably, although there have been a lot of notable things that happened this week, I finished my Wildflower tee. And I posted pictures on Instagram. I think it looks nice with the shirt underneath, don't you think? So I made a few changes to the original pattern, and I've mentioned this before. It calls for a provisional cast on, and then you go back later and you do an applied I-cord, and I just did ribbing here. The only thing I changed on the sleeves, I actually don't remember if it was supposed to be a 2x2 rib. It might have been, I don't remember. But I did a 1x1 rib, and I did 1 row in the Valentine, and then I bound off in the Valentine. Now I changed the bottom a good bit. I made it, I think it's shorter. I feel like I didn't change the, this part of it, but I don't know, my row gauge looks different than Cheryl's row gauge. It seems like my accent colors are a little closer together. And don't look too close because they're not perfect. These are kind of long floats and they end up working up a little bit looser, and even blocking didn't really change the fact that they're not perfect, but I'm fine with it. I don't care because the overall effect of the sweater is amazing. I absolutely love how it turned out. Now, Cheryl's sweater, I didn't even really look at the bottom. I think it just went from stockinette into an I-cord. And what I did was, instead of that, I switched to a smaller needle at the ribbing, and I did, I don't know, that's about 3 inches of ribbing, and then I did the same bind off there. But I think it turned out great. It reminds me of these refrigerator magnets that we had when I was a kid, and I asked my mom about them, and she was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But then when I went to put on earrings today, I put on these ones from my friend Anne. Hi, Anne. And there's like roosters and chickens on there. And this reminds me also of those magnets. I even Googled it. Like I tried to find, it's a style of art where it's like a white background. The colors are mostly bright primary colors, and it's almost like a stencil, but it's got the red and the yellow and the blue. And I just remember that style of art from the 80s when I was a kid. And we had these 2 refrigerator magnets that had that picture on there. And they have been long lost. And I don't know if I will ever find out what that art is called, if it even has a name. But if you know what I'm talking about, tell me what it's called. Because this color scheme reminds me of that. Anyway, I did use a full skein of the Jovis, which was my main color. And then I used 5 accent colors. Cheryl's original pattern does not have that many colors. I think it has 4. But I noticed that the kits that Holly did over at Mystery Mouse had 5. So I thought, I'm gonna try 5. And I really liked having the extra yarn. I did not have much left over. I used almost that entire skein of 100 grams skein of Jovis, and then I had 5 20-gram skeins, so about 200 grams of yarn to make this sweater. So that's how much yarn I used. Okay, moving right along from the sweater, I wanted to show you this bag that I got from Woolen Works Designs. Look how cute it is. It kind of reminds me of the fringe bags. Do you remember the fringe bags? They had one like this that had this strap style, and it was crazy expensive. I don't remember how much it was. And it was handmade, and this is not. At Woolen Works, they mentioned to me, this is not a handmade bag, but it was $25. So I thought that was amazing. It's got their little logo on it. It's got a pocket. They put this cute little tag on it that has wanderlust, gives the definition as people who love to travel, which I do. There is a snap at the top, and I got my project in there. I've got my camisole in there. And then there's like a water bottle slot. I didn't bring my water bottle up, but it would totally fit in there. But you could put anything in there, but it's a good water bottle size. It's got inner pockets. There's another pocket in there, and it's got like a hard bottom. This bag is awesome. It's currently my favorite project bag, and they have them over there at Woolen Works. I went over to their website and just took this little video of their bag section. They have a lot of really awesome bags. Many of them are made in-house by them, and the price point on those is understandably a bit higher. But I have those too. I have one of those also, and it's amazing. Like, they're really, really nice. They do such a good job. If you're in the market for a knitting bag, I definitely recommend that you check out Woolen Works Designs. All 3 of the ladies behind this brand are coming to my retreat. Yay! Hi, ladies. Can't wait to see you. Okay. So, like I said, I'm starting to heat up. Take my slippers off. Like I said, I dyed yarn like a crazy fiend this week. Drinking water out of my Remember to Hydrate for Knit Night cup that Cheryl gave me. Hi, Cheryl. April's color of the month was inspired by cartoonish rain, not actual rain. Actual rain is kind of gray. But I went with kind of a cartoonish rain. Let's see if I can get it to not blow out so much. Yeah, oh, much better. Here. There we go. You can see the speckles. So this color is the same recipe as my Frost colorway, but with more dye. It's more saturated. And then it has River Rock speckles. And the 20-gram mini is River Rock. Now I'm going to turn it back on. Hopefully it doesn't blow everything out. I just like more light. So this is the sock set that is in the shop for April. I have it also just in, so see, turn it so you can see the speckles, just in the fingering weight. It's a beautiful aqua with the brownish, but this color breaks up into so many interesting colors. Like if you look, you can see red, you can see blue, you can see yellow. The River Rock color, you know, it's like any brown. It breaks down into so many other colors. Whenever my kids are mixing paint or clay or dye of whatever kind, they'll ask me, what do I get if I mix this and this? And if it is any mixture of red, yellow, and blue, you're gonna get brown. That's what red, yellow, and blue make. So they're like, you know, what if I mix green and red? Well, green is yellow and blue. So yellow and blue plus red equals brown. So when you have something that's dyed brown, it'll break apart into all of those colors, and it just looks really cool. And I also have it in DK. Here you can see the speckles in that. So this is available now for that's April's color of the month. And it coordinates really well with Frost. Again, Frost is a shade lighter, or a couple shades, probably a couple shades lighter than this. It's a subtle aqua color. And River Rock, definitely. It would also look really good with like Black Forest Cake. I would need to hold up a couple to see which ones it would really coordinate with, but it would look really good with Black Forest Cake too, I think. So there's also a couple skeins left, I think, of March's color of the month. So go snap those up while they're still there if you want them, because that is going to go away. Also, April marks a year of the color of the month because I started last April. So this is my 13th month of doing the color of the month. I have plans for next calendar year, 2025, for the, I don't know how to say it, like a subscription to the color of the month. And that's gonna start in January. I'm excited about that. That's gonna be really fun. Okay. All right, the other thing that I dyed up this week was the new Fiji fingering base. Oh my gosh, it is amazing. I thought it would be amazing, but it's more amazing than I thought it would be. The Fiji fingering, like I talked about last week. Oh, I forgot the comments. I'll have to go through and do the comments before I get there because there were so many good comments on last week's episode. The Fiji fingering is 50% Pima cotton and 50% merino wool. So I figured that when I dyed it, it would be very obviously heathered, and that's not really what happened. Let me show you. This is Poirot and that's Fontaine. So you can see that it is heathery, and the overall effect is that it's just not as saturated as the color usually looks. It's just a more muted version of the color, which I think is amazing. So I did this little picture here, and this is a picture of Trinket. And you can see that the skein that is darker, that's Frankfurt, that's 100% superwash merino, and that takes the dye in a very saturated way. And the Fiji fingering, which is half cotton, takes it in just a much more muted way. It's almost like it's a different color or just a different level of that same color. It came out so, so good. Also, I have started knitting with it, and it's amazing. I thought it would be amazing. It knits almost exactly like Frankfurt. It feels the same, but because of that 50% cotton, it's not only going to give it a little bit more drape, but it also will be a lot cooler in the summer. Cannot wait to wear this. So I went with the Summer Vibe top by Trine Bertelsen, and I bought that pattern. It's a really good pattern. I like it a lot. Isn't that top just so gorgeous? This was on my Knitting Fantasies last week. Oh, it's just so beautiful. So the pattern was originally written in Danish, and you can get it in English. However, it still is all in centimeters, but it was very simple to deal with. Like, she gives the finished bust measurements, and I went with the 3rd size. So there's 7 sizes, and it goes from 82 centimeters to 130 centimeters. I don't know what 130 centimeters is in inches off the top of my head, but the 3rd size is 98 centimeters, which is about 38.5 inches as the finished garment size. So that gives me about 2.5 inches of positive ease, which is what I wanted. So I went with the 3rd size, Another thing is that it calls for 3mm needles. And in the US, we don't really use 3mm needles very much. Like that's not a common size. So a 3mm needle is a US 2.5. So in the US, we typically use either a size 2 or a size 3 and not a 2.5. I don't know why, but we don't. So I thought, you know, I could hop over to Amazon and order a 3mm needle to make this sweater. Or considering the fact that I am kind of a loose knitter, it's so rude, I know. Considering that I'm a little bit loose, maybe I will just swatch with a US 2, which I believe is a 2.75mm, I think. So I'm just gonna swatch with that and see what happens. Now, one of the things I love about this pattern is that she gives very detailed directions for the swatch. It's not just, you know, swatch and pattern and see if you get gauge. In a stitch pattern like this, counting stitches is a little bit tricky. So she gives specific directions, cast on this many stitches, work this many repeats, and then weave in your ends, wet block your swatch, and shape it to the proper shape and see if you got gauge. So what I did, and I thought this was really interesting, there was a ton of ends to weave in, on this sweater, but I'm totally fine with it. So here's my swatch, which is just gorgeous. And I'm gonna talk about this yarn too in a little bit because this is the Fiji fingering. So when I first did the swatch, I had it like this. You know how it is when it's wet and you can get it like that, or you can do it like that. So first I measured it and it was 15 centimeters across, and I was like, oh no, I didn't get gauge. And then I thought, wait a minute, it's wet. I can shape it. So I tugged it a little bit until I had the prescribed 13 centimeters across. And when I did that, I measured it from at the top most point to the bottom, and I had the prescribed length also. So I was able to shape it to block to measurements, as they say. And so I did, and I pinned it down and I let it dry. And isn't it just gorgeous? This is the Fiji fingering. It is so beautiful. Jovis, Trinket, Dusty, Fontaine, Bosque, River Rock. So this has been laying around my house and every girl has picked it up and gone, oh, that's so beautiful. I love it so much. I really do too. It's so, so pretty. So these are the colors that I'm going to use for my sweater. However, you'll notice that there are a couple more. So I'm doing Trinket, Dusty, and this is whatever she used, but I'm going to do Dusty here. I thought about Roxette. Roxette would be good here too, but I went with Dusty. Fontaine, Bosque, River Rock, Poirot, Frost, and Beryl, and then you start over and you do those same colors again. So I thought if anybody wanted to join me in knitting this sweater, a little knit along perhaps, it would be kind of expensive to get all of this yarn, right? We've got Jovis, Trinket, Dusty, I'm not going to be able to hold it all, Fontaine, Bosque, River Rock, Poirot, Beryl, oh, Frost, Beryl, right? This is a lot of yarn. This is 9 skeins of yarn. So I did the math and I was like, 9 skeins of yarn would cost the knitter $252. And $252 is just too much money for one top. It's too much, right? So I thought maybe I could give a little bit of a discount in case you wanted to knit this top with me. So a skein of yarn is typically $28, but if you want to knit this top and purchase it as a kit, then you can get it at $18 per skein. It's only available in the kit. So there is a kit on my website. It looks like this. and it's $162, which I know is still a lot, but you can knit any size of the top using this kit. It's plenty, it's enough yarn to knit any size you want, and you will have yarn left over. This yarn would be great to make shawls or other tops or probably socks. I would think that these would make amazing socks that would also be a little bit cooler because of the cotton content. I've not made socks out of cotton, but I don't know why it wouldn't be great. Cotton has a lot of strength and coolness, so if you're interested, I put it out there. If you're not interested, if you're like, Devin, that's crazy, that's fine. But just in case you wanted to make it, but you're like, gosh, I can't buy 9 skeins of yarn, that's insane. I made it a little bit cheaper for you. So if you're interested in that, that is over at the website. And we can be twins. Okay. Another thing is it's really nice that like all the colors are picked. Don't you like when you don't have to make another decision? Like when decision fatigue sets in and you're just like, just pick it for me. I picked them for you. Or really, Trina did, and then I copied. Another exciting thing that happened this week is my retreat registration closed because it filled up. That was very exciting for me. There is a wait list. I have like 10 people on the wait list already. If you missed it and you want to get on the wait list, just send me an email and I have everybody in order according to when they requested it. So the people who asked me first got on the wait list first, and then it goes down from there. So that's nice to have in case somebody finds they can't make it and they can't find someone to replace them. Just if that happens to you, if you're registered and that happens to you, let me know. I have a wait list. So that is great. Okay. People have been asking me regarding the retreat about the Facebook group and all the info and all that. Registration just got filled up, I think Thursday morning, it was filled up. And some people bought 2 spots, but I don't know the name and email address of that other person that they bought for. So once I hear back from everybody and I have all the names and all the email addresses, I'll get that stuff all together and that'll come out to you. So within the next couple weeks, that will be going out to all retreat attendees. The hotel link is now working to book more dates. I don't know why it was like that, but like, if you're a hotel, don't you want people to buy nights in your hotel? I don't know. Seems like it's obvious they should just make it work, but whatever. It is now working. So if you want to stay longer, either on the front or back end of that weekend, you can now go do that via the link. I wish I could stay longer. That would be great. I think I'm judging the science fair at school on Wednesday that week. I'm pretty sure it's going to be that Wednesday. And so Gigi and I are going to fly out Thursday morning, and then we have to fly back on Sunday because Gigi's got to go to school on Monday. So another question that I've gotten is about day passes. There will be day passes for one day only. And I think there will be a choice between either Friday or Saturday, depending on what works better for your schedule. But I don't have that sorted out yet. So stay tuned about that. Other questions I've got about family members who are coming along for the ride, can they eat with us? And the answer is yes, they can. I don't have a price on that yet. I'm still talking to the hotel, and my husband and I are going to go and stay there the weekend of the 26th through the 28th of April. So I'm going to meet with the hotel people and get all of that nailed down so that we can have that squared away. Okay, it's not going to be the cheapest option. The cheapest option will be for them to, there's a lot of ways that you can eat cheaply while traveling. If you're a traveler, then you know what those ways are. But that option will be one of them for them to join us at the retreat eating. Okay, now it's time for crocheting with Gigi and all of the craziness that brings. All right, let's see.
And then you can sit on
Sit on a pillow?
Yeah, put a pillow on your chair and you'll be taller. We're gonna have a bloopers episode part.
Whatever. I'm totally leaving this in.
Shorty. Okay, you can do it.
I need like a phone book.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Now we look like we're the same height.
I know. Not
sort
like
of. I need to like.
I can just like
Is the camera crooked?
I think it's crooked. Wait, do we look? I think... Yep. Right.
Oh, too much.
Okay.
Everybody's gonna tell me now that the shelf is crooked. I know that it's crooked. It's a very
Why do
little
people
bit
look
crooked.
at the shelf?
It would annoy me too.
Can we move forward or we
no,
we're
gonna
toilet? I see it on the toilet. Oh, girls.
I told that story already about this is, remember Melissa who gave, she's the one who gave
I loved
me,
her.
she's the one who had the story about the toilet. The toilet story. She's the one who gave me this mug.
I remember her.
Thanks, Melissa. Anyway, welcome to Crocheting with Gigi.
The best segment. I can't lean back.
And it has not been on the show in a while. Tell us, Gigi. Tell us what happened.
Okay. I had stuff to do. I was busy.
Yeah.
Though on Sunday, Easter, we found out that Maggie's having a boy, and so which means we can't knit little dresses. So we're gonna have to knit train conductor hats.
We actually had a little period of mourning because we were very excited
for a girl, but a little boy with a squishy little face.
What his little squishy legs he's gonna have. He's the size of a grapefruit right now. Maggie, I think, is 20 weeks, 19, 20 weeks.
She's 5 months. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know weeks.
So Gigi found out that Maggie was having a boy, and we instantly...
Monday, we went to Hobby Lobby, we got the yarn, and...
Oh, run and get it and show the ball band so we can have the the yarn. And the pattern, so we know the name of the pattern.
It's Nella's Cottage something?
It's Nella's Cottage something. I'll link it down below. We bought way more yarn than we needed.
That was because of me, because I thought we would need a lot more.
Well, and last time we ran out. We always run out. And we have to go back to Hobby Lobby, and then they've sold out, and then they have to order it, and then we wait, and no one wants to wait.
Okay.
Nella's?
Wait, hang on. I want to explain it first.
Do it.
So the blanket that you've seen before, the really heavy ones, the ends kept unweaving. So these ones...
That's the yarn. It was the yarn problem.
But also this one, it's for a baby, and baby boys especially like to grab things and rip them apart. So I got yarn and I tacked down every end, and it has owls, so I tacked down every eye. And so you will have to be a malicious baby to tear this apart.
Okay, so Nella's Cottage is the person who made the pattern. And I actually thought this pattern was great. It's the Magnolia Owl Blanket, and we got it on Etsy. Are you just throwing that on the floor?
No. So they put some ugly sticker over the ball band, and now I can't. Stupid.
Okay, so this calls for size 4 yarn, I think. Isn't that what we got?
Yeah, that's what we got.
Yeah, size 4, which I think is like DK. I'm not exactly sure. I feel like this is something I ought to know, but I don't know.
So
it feels like, or maybe sport. Sport feels more like a sport.
The ball band. Ow, stupid.
And we got this at Hobby Lobby.
The word that's really hard to read that says 2 of Wands, and that says color theory. So that's what it looks like.
Ooh, fun.
Okay. This is such good yarn.
So today is Sunday, and you started this less than a week ago.
Yeah.
Right.
And so here's what I'm still working on the border.
The progress. As soon as Maggie is involved and Maggie's baby, things go really fast. Look at that. Close. Yeah, get close.
Okay, all the owls. Look, this one is stupid, in case you couldn't tell. This one is he's interested in
the other owl.
The guy who's looking down, who's looking at the stupid little nerd there. I don't know why he's a nerd. I just kind of like him. That one who's just fed up with all of it. And then
it's like
whatever
all
that
emotions. The owls show all the emotions. And right now, Gigi, I can't see what we got here, but yeah, Gigi is doing a border around.
Yeah, I'm doing the stitch where it's like a double crochet, but instead of pulling through 2 loops, you pull through all 3. I don't know, half double crochet.
I don't know. I don't know.
Stitches are so dumb.
There's triple crochet. Yeah,
triple crochet, half double. What's a half double? That's a single. They're like, it's a half double crochet, and I'm like, can you please get your brains together? I don't know who invented this.
So Gigi's plan is.
What's that?
That's the end.
Oh yes, it is.
Yeah,
sorry.
It's just where you started the border.
Yeah, I'm getting back there. Is my
it's still here, and your loop is still on it's looped. So Gigi's plan is to get some minky material, which is like soft, fluffy.
And it's got the little dots that are like fabric.
And sew it onto the back. And I think you're gonna have to sew it down all over. Like it's,
yeah, because babies, like I said, like these
and there are these
eyes
holes
are,
here.
this is a layer and the pupil is a layer. So I
Right.
had to like tack that down with black thread.
And this is going to happen too without that. So I think you're going to need to just tack it
Yeah.
down. But you're clearly motivated.
Yeah, where's my stitch?
Oh, your stitch, I just had it, is right here.
Just gonna, yep.
Okay. So I'd say this is going really well. Now the
Yeah.
question is, once this blanket is done, what are you going to crochet for Maggie's baby next?
A train conductor hat or
Ooh.
little suspenders
Oh, cute.
for her baby.
Or a little toy. I was thinking about making a little toy.
Okay.
I thought about making a Tom. Do you remember Tom the Monster?
Tom the Monster.
Yes, that's the
I
curvy
think-
Warby monster pattern.
I feel like
But
it's a little
Charlotte-
girly.
It doesn't have to be girly.
With
I could make
The
it.
roller skates and the leg warmers and the fluffy hat.
He is pretty girly. But Charlotte was,
Like
she kind of,
Rocky.
yeah, right. Rocky is the least masculine dog ever.
No.
He's a princess.
He might as well be a girl. Or a cat.
Or a cat.
Because he's just, any cat owners out there, I'm sorry.
Hi,
Yeah.
Nana.
I apologize. I love Calvin, but you know,
Yeah, Calvin is Nana's cat.
we love him.
Hi, Calvin.
I chose him.
Anyway, I don't know what we're gonna make, but we'll keep you posted on what we make.
Yeah,
For
I'm
Maggie's
just
baby
gonna keep
next.
knitting things till the baby's here,
Mhm.
and he's due in August.
So there's time. Clearly, we're at
Her baby shower's in July though.
Okay, so at one blanket a week, that's a lot of stuff for the baby.
Well, we need to make.
We need
like,
to pace ourselves because Maggie will have more children,
Yeah.
and she's gonna have girls. And when she has girls, then we're gonna make all the dresses.
Oh my gosh,
She
shouldn't buy any baby clothes because we will just.
We're just gonna
knit
knit them all.
You know, for a boy, if anyone has any ideas, I feel like toys would be cute.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to make a mobile. I feel like that would be cute.
I've never even looked for mobile pet. Like what about like clouds?
Clouds, or like, you know, all those little
Trucks.
advent calendar things you made.
Oh yeah.
Those little animals. Like, you already have the patterns done.
Yeah.
You could just clip those onto strings with a
Oh yeah,
mobile.
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
They're kind of random. Bee and an octopus, and
Kids don't care.
they don't care.
They're like, these are these key animals that exist once they've seen them spinning above their head every night.
Yeah. All right. Well,
All right.
we could go on like this for a while.
Yeah,
But
one
we
track
won't.
minds. I'm telling you.
Baby.
Baby.
All right. We'll keep you posted. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Moving right along to the topic of the week. The topic that came into my mind for this week is double decreases. And the reason is because in this pattern, there is a very, very simple double decrease, which is the knit 3 together. A double decrease is used when you want to decrease by 2 stitches at one time. So you're going to take 3 stitches and reduce them to 1 stitch. 3 minus 2 equals 1. So that's essentially what a double decrease is. Now in this pattern, each repeat, it's hard to see there, but each repeat has 2 yarn overs and 1 double decrease, keeping the stitch count the same throughout. Because the yarn overs add 2 stitches and the double decrease subtracts 2 stitches. And what you get, oh, it's beautiful. See at the top, oh, and let me show you better in my swatch. Where did I put that? How it does this scallopy thing. Gosh, I love that so much. It feels like it shouldn't happen, but it does. And it's from the increases and decreases that cause that. Now, the double decrease used in this pattern is a knit 3 together. And I was curious about that because I have never used that before. Obviously, it's very simple. It's just like a knit 2 together, but instead of 2, you're knitting 3 together. And it got me kind of curious about double decreases and what the options are. So I found this great article by Tanya Knits. I didn't write it down, but I'll link it below in case you want to read the whole article. And she goes through all of the different options of double decreases. There are a couple that lean, like if you want to have matched double decreases and you want them to lean together or lean apart, there are some that lean, and there are some that are centered, where you would, if you just have 1 double decrease and you want it to look centered. I'm just gonna go through them very briefly. In a perfect world, I would demonstrate them, but I ran out of time. So I'm just gonna talk about them. And if you have more interest, click the link below and you can read Tanya's entire explanation of them. So the knit 3 together is a leaning decrease. And so, you know, one might wonder why she chose it for this. I'm totally going to use what she wrote because I love it. I think it turned out great. I think it looks fabulous. I have no complaints about how it looks at all. But some might say, why didn't you use a centered decrease instead of one that leans? I think she did it for simplicity because it is very simple. But a knit 3 together does lean. I can't remember if it leans left or right. Let me look. It leans to this way. I'm facing this way, to the right. It's hard when you're facing. And so the opposite decrease to that is the slip, slip, slip knit, rather than the slip, slip knit, where you change the orientation of 2 stitches and then knit them together through the back loop. You just do that with 3 stitches, and those 2 complement each other. On the other side of the work, if you were doing the purl side, you could do a purl 3 together or a slip, slip, slip purl, and those would also mirror. She gives an example of the SK2P and the K2SP, and this gets confusing, and she actually has a really good explanation of what these terms mean and how to understand them, so you don't have to memorize them in order. But this is another version of leaning decreases, where you are slipping 1 stitch knitwise, knit 2 stitches together, and then pass it over. So I'm not going to go through all the details of these decreases, but just to kind of skim across the top, I thought that this was really interesting. So the centered double decrease, which would probably be the most desirable, I would think, for this type of design, is the S2KP. Well, geez, how on earth am I supposed to remember what's the KS2P and what the P is? The P for pass or is the P for purl? So here is the explanation of that. If a number is included in an abbreviation, it's simply telling you how many stitches are involved in the action that is abbreviated just before the number. So S2 means 2 stitches is the number you're going to slip, right? S means slip. P means either purl or pass, but there's a way that you can tell, and K means knit. So Tanya says, let's take K2SP as an example. The K2 is letting us know how many stitches to knit. Since it's a decrease, we knit them together as 1 stitch. See, gosh, that's confusing. Because K2 is not the same as K2 together. Gosh. The S tells us to slip. We haven't yet slipped an unworked stitch from the left to the right, so by process of elimination, we know that means our stitch has to be slipped purlwise back to the left needle. The final letter in our abbreviation, P, lets us know that we can now pass a stitch over. And she talks about slipping the stitches, and she says, whenever you are doing a decrease and it says to slip the stitches, and you're like, well, how do I do it, knitwise or purlwise? I would often get this question as a designer. People would say, well, how do I slip it? If it doesn't tell you how to slip it, you are just going to move it over. Don't twist it. If you need to twist it, it'll tell you to twist it. And I love this. She calls it the mount of the stitch. Like if you think of a person sitting on a horse and the stitch is sitting on the needle like a person sitting on a horse, like a mount, the mount of the stitch is the way that the person is facing on the horse. And so you don't want to change the way you're facing. You just want to go from one horse to another. I just thought that was so funny that she talked about it as the mount of the stitch. So don't twist it unless you're told to twist it. And then she says, regarding P for purl or pass, if it's the first letter in the abbreviation, that stands for purl. In all other instances, you should pass it except for slip, 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 purl. I honestly find this to be a little bit confusing still. Like, I know she tried to clarify it. What I do whenever I come across an abbreviation like S2KP is I Google it and Google knows that information, and I just do what the internet tells me to do. I can't possibly be called upon to memorize these things. It's like the US sizes and the millimeters. I mean, the Google knows, so why do I need to know? And this is why we are lazy as modern people. And by we, I mean me, and a lot of other people too, but it's so easy to be lazy when the internet does it for you. I actually think that this explanation makes me just think it would be better just to memorize it. Like S2KP is a center double decrease, and SK2P is a leaning double decrease. It's like we use these abbreviations to simplify our lives, but I don't know. All right, moving right along to the comments section. Do you remember last week when B sent in the wonderful story about Frank the crocheted nutcracker? Well, B says, Devin, we use mostly acrylic yarn. That makes sense. She says, we are a well-stashed group, and one of our members passed about 1.5 years ago. I'm sure the entire group together would not equal her yarn stash, so quite a bit of the yarn in Frank was from the Linda stash. Aw, that's so sweet. I bet she's like, yay. What was purchased was probably Lion Brand. I forgot to tell you that Frank will live on. He is promised to one of the local banks for their lobby at Christmas time. He's back where he started in Judy and Chris's garage until then. If you ever come to Nashville, let me know. You have my email now. Our group meets at least once a week, and we would love to have you. I would love to come. I would love to go to Nashville. Nashville sounds amazing. The Guild officially meets the second Monday of the month, but that's not enough for some of us. Awesome. Thank you for sharing our story. Well, that was just great, B. I love that story. And judging by the comments, everyone loved that story. Irish Bell said, Happy Easter. I received my Sanctum hand balm last week and it smells amazing. I had it in mind to order 2, one for a friend and one for me. I had a tiny moment of panic because even though I receive your newsletter, I totally spaced on ordering it when it first popped up in the shop. Thankfully, I was able to get the 2 tins I was hoping for. I'm glad it will be back at Christmas. It's such a lovely fragrance. So I went to send my newsletter this past Friday, and I saw that the newsletter that I wrote about the balm, like it takes me some time to put together a newsletter. It never sent. It still said sending. Like I had sent it, but my service that provides, it wasn't my fault. It was their fault. The service just didn't send it. It just said it was sending, but it never sent. So I apologize for that. I apologize on behalf of my service. The failure was theirs. Sometimes the failure is mine, but in this instance, the failure was theirs. So I do apologize for that. Stevens Defense Academy says, Devin, the new balm is amazing. I have a special needs 7-year-old son. He tends to drool a lot, and I've tried lots of lotions and balms to protect the skin around his mouth and neck. I discovered a while ago that your balm works the best. I'm thinking maybe it's the lanolin that makes a difference. Having a balm that also smells like chrism is truly a delight. Thank you and have a blessed Easter. So I use this balm pretty much like Neosporin. Last week, Charlotte was out skateboarding and she fell down and skinned her elbow. And my whole method, like my whole philosophy around injuries is first, go take a shower, it'll make you feel better. Second, put the balm on and then Band-Aid. And that's what I did. And I've put the balm and a Band-Aid on since then and it's healing beautifully. And it doesn't sting. That's one of the best things. And Neosporin doesn't sting either. Petroleum jelly, that doesn't sting. And all of that works too. But I love the balm. I just use it for absolutely everything. It is so good. This is a really interesting comment. I Can Knit That says, hi there, just watched your latest podcast episode and thoroughly enjoyed it as always. Quick note, as a hardcore Jew, I want to clarify that the prohibition against mixing fabrics specifically refers to linen and sheep wool. Linen and alpaca or linen and cotton blends are perfectly fine according to Jewish law. Thanks for sharing that interesting tidbit about the Devon scissors and the upcoming Fiji fingering weight yarn. Can't wait to see them in the shop. That is super interesting. I need to go back and find that episode of The Chosen because I didn't like memorize it. It just kind of went into my mind as I just experienced it and told it back the way I remembered it. I specifically remembered that he said it was damask, it was from Damascus, and the Pharisee was like, that you can't wear that. So it must have been a linen sheep wool blend. But in the first century, there weren't, the fabric options were more limited. Oklahoma, Texas sheep lady had more on that. And here is some more. She says, mixed fiber fabric of wool and linen have been shown to have canceling frequencies. And a couple people mentioned the frequencies. I don't know what that means. Maybe you can explain it to me. That specific mix is what is cited in scripture to not be used. Cotton is already low frequency, so I don't know what the results of mixing cotton and wool would be. There are many theories and studies on the subject. Who knew? I had no idea this was even a thing. Thank you so much for telling me. Just how interesting. She says, I believe our Creator knows what is best for us and makes no arbitrary rules. I absolutely agree. I think that's so interesting. I found it interesting that the TV show identified damask as a mixed fiber cloth. I thought it was strictly a patterned cloth made by satin and non-satin areas of design, usually silk or linen fiber. So I think this is just a change in the meaning of the word damask. I feel like back when I used to do the word of the week, I feel like I covered damask on one episode. I don't remember which one, but it's a word that I think has changed meaning. So what it meant in the first century and what it means now, I think are just different. But this is just so interesting. I've never seen a wool linen yarn, but presumably it exists. But what is the frequency? How does a fiber have a frequency? What does that mean? Tell me if you know. User IL9CV says, hi, I always enjoy watching you. I am making dishcloths. I am a new knitter. Thank you so much for leaving that short, pithy, friendly comment. I just loved it. It's a new knitter who's making dishcloths, probably out of cotton because that's a great dishcloth fabric. Dishcloths are a great place to start, something small. I hope your dishcloths are going amazing. Send me pictures if you want to. Rachel Bonner says, I was so excited to hear about your new merino cotton base. I have been searching for a cotton wool blend to make a white summer cardigan. Now I'm searching for fingering weight patterns, so I will be ready to order your new yarn in your new Jovis colorway. Thanks for a great podcast. Yay, Rachel. I only have a couple skeins in stock, so pre-order them so that they're matched. Unless you don't need very many, and I have that many in stock. I just want to make sure that they're all matched together. Jean Burby says, hi, Devin, love your sweaters. Love hearing about the retreat. You have inspired my daughter and I to try a more local knitting retreat. It'll be maybe a 4 or 5 hour drive. I wish we could join you, but this will be the next best thing. Awesome, Jean, that is so great. If you guys find other retreats that have the same vibe that I'm trying to create, friendly, welcoming, open, non-exclusive, where everyone feels like they belong and are in a place with friends, and it's just not, I don't know, it's just wonderful. If you find retreats like that, tell me what they are so that I can make a list so that we can all know these are great retreats to check out. That would be wonderful. Okay, Karen Davis. Do you remember Karen's comment from last week about her daughter and her dirtbag husband? Not Karen's, but the daughter's. Karen says, thank you for the prayers. Your love and concern brought me to tears. My daughter's name is Destiny. So if you've been praying for Karen's daughter, her name is Destiny. She is continuing the slow recovery from brain surgery. Thankfully, she lives with us so we can provide constant support. She has muscle spasms daily at the surgery site at the base of her skull, and they cause severe pain and often cause her to throw up. Oh. Add that to the emotional stress from piece of junk hubby who left her for stripper boss, and she is in a deep valley. She loves Jesus and is leaning on him heavily. As always, love your podcast and this community. So Beautiful said, if Karen's daughter's husband's boss is a stripper, what does he do for a living? Then she says it may be a while before she feels it, but Karen's daughter is obviously better off without him. And that is so true. What a dirtbag. Just, and I know, it's easy to say, it's hard to do. And then Teresa's response was, oh wow, I was just gonna say that. I would love to see the organizational chart that shows a stripper's subordinates. I'm glad we can laugh. Oh gosh. All right, moving on to knitting fantasies. So keeping with the Trine Bertelsen theme, I love this designer. And now that I've bought one of her patterns, I can tell you how well written they are. I wouldn't say that they're great for a new knitter. Unless you're a European knitter, maybe in Europe these things are different. Are there any new knitters in Europe? I feel like everybody in Europe has been knitting since the dawn of time. But over here in America, a lot of us are new. So I wouldn't suggest this, even though the pattern is simple, because it is so European with the centimeters and the needle sizes, it might just, be a bridge too far for somebody who's new. But I love this designer and I would absolutely knit her patterns again. So I went and picked another one that is perfect for summer, and it's called the Hydrangeas Top. And this one is in a lace weight yarn and comes in 8 sizes, and it's just beautiful. It's got a very similar shape to the Summer Vibe top. I didn't look into it too deeply, but I would imagine it might be the same kind of construction, front and back, sew them together. However, I would think that this stitch pattern would be easier worked in the round, but I don't know what she did. I didn't buy the pattern. If you like this top, but you're like, I really don't want to make it in a lace weight yarn, or I would like to make a heavier version, there's also a DK version. So these are available on Trine's website, and you can get them in English there. That's where I bought mine. And also on Ravelry. The good thing about Ravelry is that it has all of the details Americans want, like what is the weight of yarn, because the yarn that you recommend, we probably can't find here. So that's really nice. And you can see the ones that other people have made, and Ravelry has a lot of great features, and I love using it for that reason. Okay, so this is where I would normally have a So Here's What Happened, but I don't have one. Now, a lovely podcast watcher named Lori did send me one, and I did miss that email, so she reminded me in the comments from last week, but she sent it in 2 parts and I only got one. So I will share Lori's story next week, but this week I am without one, and this is what happens if nobody sends me a story. And this moment where everyone's so excited and waiting for the story and there isn't one, this usually galvanizes people into going, gosh darn it, I am gonna write out my knitting story because this is unacceptable. We have to have our stories. So write down your knitting story, or you can tell it. Some people love to write, other people don't. They'd rather tell it. Just put your phone, hold it, or have your husband hold it, or lean it up against something. Tell your story on a video, and I would love to share it on the podcast, whatever's easiest for you. Tell it in whatever way you prefer. And you can even aim it at something else if you don't want to be on camera. Aim it at the thing in your house that you love the most and tell the story from behind. And that way you don't have to do your hair or put on like real clothes. I would love to have your knitting story to share because that is everyone's favorite part. Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com, Devin with an I. Same, any retreat questions or anything, Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. All right, you guys, I have gone on for entirely too long. I will see you next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I hope you enjoy your knitting. Bye.